What's going on, fellow A-Plusters? It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, back once again with another and final Titans review as we go ahead and get into the season finale of Season 3 here, episode number 13, titled Purple Rain, as this season has officially come to a close, ladies and gentlemen. But don't worry, we definitely have ourselves a fourth season headed our way, as they went ahead and actually announced that this past weekend over at DC Fandom, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we do have ourselves a fourth season certainly coming from Titans. But today, guys, we're definitely going to be wrapping up the third in a season that I personally thought was probably the best out of all the three that we've had so far. Season 1 was certainly a little rocky, but certainly had its bright points. Season 2, I was a really big fan of Ravager along with Deathstroke, at least in regards to our villains. But I felt like for the most part, this season in general really had its shit together, with the exception of maybe a couple of hiccups here or there that didn't really take me too much out of the season itself. Definitely had my issues with things, to certainly say the least, but I thought as far as a complete season goes, I certainly enjoyed it for what it definitely was. This definitely feels like the better of the three seasons, but perhaps that's just simply me. But again, listen, I always want to know your guys' thoughts at the end of the day. When it comes to the season finale itself, though, I got to be perfectly honest. I would be lying if I said this season or this episode didn't feel a little anticlimactic to me, a little underwhelming, especially with the previous episode that we talked about, with some of the cliffhangers that they wind up having us kept us on, sort of thing. I kind of went into this finale thinking it was going to be maybe a little bit more bombastic, just something a little bit more grander than what we certainly had. Not a bad finale. I mean, decent. It was good. It was an enjoyable one, to certainly say the least, but underwhelming, a little anticlimactic for myself. I want to say, I feel like the very ending of this, like, it didn't have any wow moments for me. I almost felt like the scene where we get the opportunity to see Tim Drake in the Bat Cave with Dick Grayson and Gar, and they approach Scarecrow. The idea that we've got somebody like Tim Drake who literally walks up to him, is pissed about him threatening his parents in Gotham City, and literally punching Scarecrow to end the finale. With Scarecrow being your big bad, and somebody that's not even a full-on Titan sort of getting the last punch and really putting a finality to the villain, as underwhelming as the entire finale, unfortunately. And I think this goes to show just maybe the error in the decision making to have somebody like Scarecrow be the villain, when literally Tim Drake can just punch him in the face and this is all settled, right? Like, this literally, like, this season finale should have happened by like episode 10, if that's the case. The idea of it just being so easy to get into Bruce Wayne's manor and stop Scarecrow, it could have been done. Listen, if Tim Drake can do it, the entire Titans team can easily do it. So I thought seeing Tim Drake take down Scarecrow was just a really putting a bow onto just how anticlimactic this episode unfortunately felt. And I think, again, it definitely shows volumes as to maybe why Scarecrow wasn't the best choice in regards to villains. I mean, you had a fantastic one the first 3 episodes in Red Hood, and for them to kind of go this direction, a little bit underwhelming when it comes to the villain here this week. So for me, I still continue to think, out of all the villains that we've seen when it comes to Titans, Deathstroke to me certainly still takes the cake. Season 2 certainly was a season, and I definitely enjoyed, to certainly say the least. So yeah, I felt like, for the most part, good episode. It wasn't too bad. I appreciated actually how they wound up rounding up everybody's storyline. It didn't feel like they were tripping over themselves. It felt like they told the story that they certainly wanted to tell, brought everybody together by the end of the finale in a decent way, in ending off people's storylines and really pushing us into season 3, or season 4, I should certainly say. But again, little anticlimactic, a little bit underwhelming for me as an episode. But I got to tell you, the elephant in the room for me, guys, when it comes to this episode, and I'm just going to get like the negatives out of the way in regards to this episode. The elephant in the room for me continues to be the Nightwing and the Superboy moment that we wind up having in here. A couple of episodes ago, we saw Dick Grayson use kryptonite to go ahead and poison Superboy, put him out of commission. The previous episode showcased just how mad and how upset Superboy certainly was at the notion that his own teammate would certainly do that to him. Then to find out that the love of your life wants to go ahead and bail on you when you thought that you guys were in this together for the rest of your lives, and him exploding Blackfire's ship by causing some problems and really having no remorse, or at least it certainly looked like it with the cliffhanger that we wind up getting in the previous episode. So when we get into this episode, the fact that like that animosity, the fact that the grief and the anger that Superboy was handling is like immediately gone. Almost like, oops, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to do that. I don't like, what are we talking about? Like it almost makes me feel like the writers, because of the fact that we had so many different writers in this season, I keep thinking to myself, did you guys have a writer's room? Did you guys sit down and formulate the entirety of this show? Because it does feel like from time to time, when you go from episode to episode, sometimes characters feel a little bit different, respond a little bit different than what they did the previous episode. So it does make me scratch my head. Now, don't get me wrong. While I'm glad that we got the opportunity to see Dick Grayson decide to apologize to Connor, I was wondering when that moment was certainly going to go. What should have been a fantastic teaching lesson or a lesson to sort of learn from instead takes this weird toll where both of them all of a sudden agree you did what you had to do. And even Connor almost accepts his decision to destroy Blackfire's ship to certainly keep him there. And then they wind up bro high-fiving or like bro shaking on things. Since when was anything you both did acceptable as teammates? But no, sometimes you do what you have to do. Like what are we talking about here? So it's okay for Dick Grayson to blow kryptonite in your face and poison you and upset you. That's okay. That's okay to go ahead and blow up somebody else's ship, sort of thing. Nothing you guys did was something you had to do. And nor was it acceptable. And yet nobody here is holding anybody accountable for the bullshit that they pulled on each other at all. And it makes absolutely no sense to me. It felt like this was going to be like Superboy was pissed off enough to really fuck the Titans in the previous episode, but now all of a sudden he's like, hey, I didn't mean to do it. Why is everybody getting in their panties in the bunch? But then when he talks to Dick Grayson, he's like, sometimes you do what you have to do. And the fact that Superboy accepts what Dick Grayson did to him without any fallout, without any man-to-man conversations like, hey man, I'm really sorry that I pushed myself to that particular point in time. The fact that they said you did what you had to do, who are the writers on this show? It just absolutely, again, a valuable teaching lesson that people need to hold people accountable. It's an issue that we have in today's world where people think they can get away with any fucking thing that they want to and not have anybody push back against them for what they did as being wrong. And we get that showcased to you in perfect fashion here, guys. So remember, when you're a part of the team, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do to each other, ladies and gentlemen, according to Nightwing and Superboy. So yeah, don't worry about holding people accountable. It's not needed when it comes to being a superhero or being each other's teammates. Thank you for that lesson this week, Titans, for sure. So yeah, that definitely really got me under my skin, because it was a very valuable teaching lesson there, and they completely missed the mark. While I will say that, on the flip side of things, I at least really enjoy the Blackfire and the Superboy relationship that we wind up having here this week. It is one of those things where I appreciated their connection. I really hope that Blackfire certainly comes back for season 4. Heck, maybe even not her come back here, but maybe have Superboy go over to Tamarin, since we kind of teased and hinted Tamarin in this season here a little bit, getting an actual couple of sequences. So I appreciate them at least making an effort, but I really would love to kind of see maybe half a season on Tamarin, maybe 3-4 episodes on Tamarin. I think would really go a long way. And again, the idea that Scarecrow was the villain in here, while I appreciate Blackfire and Superboy's relationship, the notion of having Blackfire, who is a very well-known and very powerful Teen Titans villain, to not sort of harness that as like a gold mine that you can certainly utilize in this season, I thought was honestly a missed opportunity. Now, who knows? Maybe she'll come into power season 4 now that she's got her abilities, and maybe the power goes to her head, and we wind up finally having her as a villain for the following season. But I really at least enjoyed the connection that they wind up having here between Blackfire and Superboy. I thought it was really good for Connor to kind of experience some brand new things for himself. But yeah, definitely feeling all those emotions certainly pushed him to a certain point where yeah, he almost couldn't come back from. But I will say this, kudos to him for at least doing his best to meet up with the scientist again, get the schematics and things like that for her ship to really right the wrong that he wind up having in the first place. But again, that should have been a much bigger ordeal at the beginning of this episode than it certainly was. Like the only person acting normal for a while was Starfire in regards to what happened with Superboy and the ship, but he at least makes his amends by the end of it. Let's see here. Let's see here. I do want to go back and talk a little bit about Donna Troy. We do get the opportunity to see also the Lazarus Pit back in here in this episode. Cool idea when it comes to the Lazarus Pit, but again, I do wonder if this idea and concept was like fully thought through, right? The idea of harvesting this Lazarus Pit, sort of putting that energy into the air, creating like this weather system to where the Lazarus Pit would then technically turn into rain and then start falling down on the people in Gotham. And I do wonder if there's a sense of when the writers write things like that, are they doing their own research? Do they know what the Lazarus Pit actually does to people that are brought back? Like you could probably even Wikipedia this shit yourself. The idea that it does tend to turn people rather insane, temporarily insane. There's clearly a struggle within somebody's soul once they're kind of reborn and things like that. So I'm just thinking to myself, okay, that's great that we brought people back from Gotham City, but there clearly should be ramifications from that actually happening. So again, it's the idea of, do we fully think this through and do our research when it comes to the effects of what the Lazarus Pit is certainly supposed to do? Because my next question would then be, okay, so the civilians seem perfectly fine. What about the people in the cemetery? Right? Like once that water starts draining or the soil, starts taking that water in, sort of thing, are the dead going to start rising? Are they going to be alive, sort of thing, after this? So while I dug the idea, the concept was cool, visually it looked great, I just want to ask them, did they think this through before they just threw the Lazarus Pit and let it have it rain on everybody? Cool shots. I love the purple tint and everything like that, the little purple rain connection, even getting some classic soul in here for Nightwing to kind of laugh about and guard dance to a little bit. I dug it. I certainly dug it. But Lazarus Pit is certainly going to have much more effects than that. It's not like just a come back to life free kind of get out of jail card. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work that way. And it felt very much like the writers were just not aware of that at all. Barbara Gordon, please bring Savannah Welsh back. I honestly hope that they really do. Getting the opportunity to see that her sidekick, or her, I don't want to say her sidekick, but her next in line to her, the lady that was always working with her, turns out to be an Argus agent. I certainly did not see that coming whatsoever, but it was a cool little surprise to kind of see Argus wind up popping up in here and really allow her and Barbara to kind of get things back in line. But she's just too good of an actress, I think, Savannah Welsh, to just be around for just one season. Whether or not they talk about the idea of trying to bring Oracle back up online. So it does make me kind of keep my fingers crossed that maybe after the debacle that was Gotham City, while I'm sure Barbara Gordon, as part of her father's legacy, probably wants to stick around as the commissioner, part of me wants to see her maybe go more full-time Oracle and maybe pop back up and help out our Titans from time to time. I mean, look, we saw Dick Grayson and Barbara wind up having a moment with one another, trying to maybe ask her, hey, do you want to come to San Francisco? Her trying to get him to sort of stay. It's definitely always going to be that back and forth between him and Barbara. But I hope Barbara at least sticks around. Well, I have at least enjoyed this trip to Gotham. I think that's one of the benefits that season 3 has had, while I am a big supporter of, I would appreciate to see Titans maybe be a little bit lighter when you going into season 4, right? Let me get more of that sort of family camaraderie and teamwork. I dig the idea that season 3 did go gritty and did at least go to Gotham, because it did bring a different side, I felt like, of some of these Titans out, and really got us to showcase some brand new characters that I think really worked for this season, especially in regards to just the tone and the pacing of this season for the most part. I really did think that Gotham worked extremely well. So if this is our last time in Gotham, please find some way to bring Savannah Welsh back as Barbara Gordon. I think it definitely will go a long way. In regards to Red Hood, I actually even appreciated how they handled the Red Hood situation, keeping him a secret from the team, not really allowing him, I mean, clearly utilizing him, like Dick Grayson said, to certainly help him bring down Scarecrow. But I am glad at the fact that it wasn't a case of like, hey, welcome back to the Titans, right? Like, I know Dick Grayson said, no, you'll never be a Titan again. But yeah, things certainly happen, and just based off of different writers, it seems like different taking on an episode, and all of a sudden our characters having different mindsets and attitudes at times. I am glad that they at least decided to stick to that and allow Jason to kind of go about his way. Now, whether or not Kieran Walters pops up again in season 4 in some capacity, I would be okay with that. But I am at least glad that he had his moments, had his peace with Bruce Wayne, and disembarked and just kind of went on his own way, sort of thing, right? It is one of those things where there certainly has to be some accountability for the terrible shit that he did do, like killing an actual Titan member. But then there is that side that we've seen all season, that there is a kid inside of here who has been very much manipulated and really has his own sort of issues. And combining that with somebody, talking in your ear and manipulating you, definitely can do things out of the norm for you as a character. So I felt like the ending for Jason Todd's character in Red Hood in here was handled relatively well for the most part, despite the fact that he probably could have had a bigger role. He probably could have had a more formidable role as a villain. I just don't know how I felt about him all of a sudden becoming secondary to a villain who literally can get punched and knocked out by somebody who's not even considered a hero right now. In regards to Tim Drake, like, the guy hasn't even taken one training class. He hasn't even like put on a prototype Robin suit, like nothing. Yeah, it just goes to show you Red Hood probably really should have had more opportunity here. But yeah, I will say this: with the Titans headed back to San Francisco, I love the fact that they're bringing Tim Drake along. I thought the idea of going for an RV for a road trip instead of the jet was a really great decision. It definitely made me laugh and smile at the very end. It just has that feeling of family camaraderie. Like, we've been through some shit, now we've got to bond and sort of get our stuff back together. And I think the idea of a road trip really really works out for them. So I'm really, it should be awesome to see them all working together. And I thought it was really cool to kind of see them even putting their minds together in Tim's lab, because it's very few moments like that where we do get the opportunity to see the Titans really working together. And when they're very cohesive and they got great chemistry, it's great to see on screen. And it's something that I certainly wish that we got the opportunity to see a little bit more of. And after 3 seasons of lies, holding secrets from each other, still trying to find themselves, I do hope that when it comes to season 4, that we do get a little bit more of that family bonding and teamwork and things like that, because it is an aspect of the show that I certainly do miss, to certainly say the least. I'm trying to look at some of my other notes here. Oh, quick side mention in regards to Donna Troy, who I love the fact, and I even put this on my thumbnail, I love the fact that she's not fearful of lightning anymore. Like, the idea of lightning not harming her is like, oh, when did that become a thing? Because it certainly wasn't a thing in season 2. I mean, granted, she's probably channeling it through her whip. I mean, maybe that's the sort of her lasso, I should say. I mean, maybe that's the sort of reasoning behind it that the writers certainly want to give, but they truly have made a mockery of Donna Troy's death in season 2 from in this season alone. Like, it feels as though they're very much aware that they fucked up when it comes to Donna Troy being killed off over something as silly as electrocution. And there's been several times since we've seen Donna Troy in here, at least 2 or 3, that gives us a friendly reminder, like, yeah, she kind of went out on a shitty note last season. So let's kind of make fun of ourselves a little bit in here, which they did. And I thought it was really cool, to kind of really awesome scene, at least, to see Donna Troy channeling that lightning through her lasso as well. But yeah, man, overall, guys, not a bad season. A season that I really enjoyed for the most part. 2 episodes that I could probably say not the biggest fan of. As far as finale goes, decent, enjoyable, but underwhelming and anticlimactic. No big wow moments. And again, I think that suffers from the fact that you got somebody like a Scarecrow who gets punched by Tim Drake, and that's the end of the day. And then Red Hood kind of goes about his way. The 2 big main villains almost truly amounted to nothing by the end, by the time we got to like episode 10 of this season. So we'll see what happens when it comes to the 4th. I do think, if anything, and I've said this before, one, I am almost ready for a brand new showrunner at this point. Akiva Goldsman, whoever else is working on this, go and do something else. At this point, I really want to see fresh eyes, a fresh take on this, on these characters, and maybe one singular voice. Or if you're gonna have multiple writers, give me like 2 or 3 combined with the showrunner in there, so I know that everybody is certainly on the same page. And if you do go ahead and decide to give us a different showrunner, please allow them, like, be able to get somebody that knows how to handle multiple characters at once and be able to tell a group story over a period of 13 to 15 episodes. That's the only thing that I ask. Other than that, keep doing what you're doing, guys. But those are some really big things that I definitely would like to see change kind of going forward. They did at least give us a Roy Harper name drop in this episode 2. A part of me was kind of thinking that Roy Harper was actually going to debut in this season at some particular point in time, and unfortunately, he just never did. Probably worked out for the best, though, considering the fact of all the new characters that we did get. One of the biggest complaints that I had the past 2 seasons were, guys, we're introducing way too many characters and way too many stories all at once. So I'll definitely take the idea of pushing Roy Harper, if at all, if he ever does show up, to maybe a season 4 for them to go ahead and tackle in some other ways. So yeah, guys, other than that, I think that's pretty much my thoughts in regards to this particular season finale for Titans. Again, I think my biggest issue that I certainly had was definitely the Superboy and Nightwing stuff that we wind up getting. I'm trying to think if there's any other characters we haven't really talked about. Raven in here didn't really do too much, with the exception of harnessing the Lazarus Pit, allowing Starfire to go ahead and hold on to that power and then thrust it into the sky. Gar, I thought, was pretty cool. At least see him tackle his bat one more time, and him trying to navigate through Bruce Wayne's manor just like in a daze, sort of thing. I thought that was pretty interesting, to say the least, also. But overall, I thought Gar was handled really well this season. They actually gave him some things to do. Granted, they didn't push his transformations as much as I certainly would have liked to, but I did like his interactions with trying to, with a lot of the fight sequences that we wind up getting, and really seeing his involvement in trying to bring Jason back from the brink, or at least trying to be more involved, to certainly say the least. So I thought overall, again, guys, I thought overall this was a really well handled season. Probably my favorite out of the 3, but unfortunately very underwhelming villains in here, and uneasy storytelling from time to time. It felt like, if anything, I felt like a lot of my issues still came once again at the very second half of the show, and probably within the last like 3 episodes or so, it started getting a little shaky here or there. But overall, guys, I was impressed with the season overall, and thought this was just a decently good finale, but definitely left me wanting more, to say the least. But remember, these are just simply my A-plus opinions. At the end of the day, guys, I want to know yours. What did you guys think of Titans Season 3, Episode number 13, the season finale, or the season as a whole? Let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below after this particular video airs, and we'll definitely go ahead and continue that conversation with you guys. And listen, even though this is our last Titans season review, if we do get big news when it comes to casting or anything else outside of going into season 4, we definitely will go ahead and update you guys with a video. And if anything, any other Titan news that certainly drops. If you follow us here on our channel, every Sunday we go live with a show called APlus Hero Report, guys. We go live every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Time, and we do highlight all the big DC news that winds up dropping for the week. So if you want to go ahead and get caught up throughout the off season of Titans, this is certainly the place for you guys. So definitely go ahead and subscribe to our channel. If you love our reviews, if you love this review in particular, hit that like button, guys. It definitely does go a long way. And I guess until next time, I'll certainly see you guys later. But until then, do me a big favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. If you enjoy our content and want to be a part of helping our channel grow, become a patron supporter. We have affordable tiers to choose from that offer a variety of exclusive and early access content, from audio files for all of our shows for you to enjoy on the road, access to our Discord community, and plenty of reactions, reviews, character breakdowns, and more. Check us out at patreon.com/aplusopinions. And as always, remember, like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so anytime we drop a brand new video,